Lisa Martinez rubbed her tired eyes and looked at the screen again. The numbers were still there, glowing green against the black background. She'd been working the night shift on the USS Horizon for 3 months now, and most nights were quiet. Space was big and empty. Usually nothing happened, except the same old radio signals from Earth. But tonight was different. The signal coming through her equipment was not from Earth. It was not from anywhere humans had ever been. The pattern was too perfect, too organized to be natural. Someone or something was sending it on purpose. Lisa reached for a coffee cup and took a long drink. The hot liquid helped her focus. She had studied signals from space for 5 years, but she had never seen anything like this. The transmission repeated every 30 seconds in a mathematical sequence that made her heart beat faster. Numbers. She realized someone was using prime numbers to get attention. She picked up the phone and called her supervisor. Commander Jake Morrison answered on the second ring, his voice thick with sleep. "This better be important, Martinez," he said. "I think you need to come down here right away," Lisa said. Her voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. "I'm picking up something that does not belong to us." 20 minutes later, Commander Morrison stood behind Lisa's chair, staring at the same green numbers. His coffee cup sat forgotten on the desk as he watched the pattern repeat. Behind him, Captain John Harrison studied the data with sharp eyes. "How long has this been coming in?" Captain Harrison asked. "About 2 hours now, sir," Lisa replied. "The signal is coming from the direction of Kepler 442. That is about 50 light-years from here." Captain Harrison was quiet for a long moment. He was a careful man who did not make quick decisions. But even he could see that this was something special. Something that could change everything. "Get Dr. Amanda Clark up here," he said finally. "If anyone can figure out what this means, it will be her." Dr. Clark arrived 30 minutes later, still wearing her pajamas under a lab coat. She was the best language expert on the ship, and she had spent years studying how different cultures might communicate. When she saw the signal, her eyes went wide. "This is definitely artificial," she said after studying the numbers for several minutes. "Whoever sent this knows mathematics, just like we do. Look here." She pointed at the screen. "They are using the same basic principles we use in our own radio broadcasts." Captain Harrison leaned forward. "Can you understand what they are saying?" Dr. Clark worked at her computer for the next hour, running the signal through different programs. The bridge was quiet, except for the soft clicking of keys and the hum of the ship's engines. Everyone knew they were watching something historic happen. Finally, Dr. Clark looked up from her screen. Her face was pale, but her eyes were bright with excitement and fear. "Captain, this is a distress call," she said. "They are asking for help." The words hung in the air like smoke. Captain Harrison felt the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders. First contact with aliens was something humans had dreamed about for hundreds of years. But no one had expected it to happen like this. "What kind of help?" he asked. Dr. Clark pulled up her translation on the main screen. The words appeared slowly as she read them out loud. "To the people of Earth, we are the Zephyrians of the 4th planet of Kepler 442. We have listened to your radio signals for many years. We know you are warriors who have survived many conflicts. We need your help. Our world is being destroyed by machines called the Devourers. They consume everything in their path. We are peaceful people with no weapons. We offer our knowledge of medicine and energy in exchange for your protection. Time is running out. Please help us." The bridge was completely silent. Lisa felt her heart pounding in her chest. Commander Morrison set down his coffee cup with shaking hands. Captain Harrison stared at the message, reading it again and again. "How do we know this is real?" Commander Morrison asked finally. "This could be some kind of trick." Dr. Clark shook her head. "The mathematics are too complex to fake. And look at this." She brought up another part of the signal. They included detailed star charts showing their exact location. They also sent information about their planet's size, atmosphere, and distance from their sun. "All of this matches what our telescopes have told us about Kepler 44 to be." Captain Harrison walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 50 light-years away, an entire civilization was crying out for help. They had listened to human radio broadcasts and decided that Earth's warriors were their only hope. Sir Lisa said quietly, "There is more." Everyone turned to look at her. She brought up another section of the signal on her screen. "They sent pictures," she said. The images were grainy and hard to see, but they showed tall, graceful beings with large eyes and delicate features. Their cities were made of crystal and light, beautiful beyond anything humans had ever built. But many of the pictures showed destruction, broken buildings, empty streets, and strange dark machines tearing apart the landscape. "The Devourers," Dr. Clark whispered. Captain Harrison made his decision. "Send this directly to Admiral Patricia Stone at Earth Command. Priority 1, encryption. Tell her we need orders immediately." As Lisa began transmitting the data back to Earth, Captain Harrison thought about what this meant. Humanity had always wondered if they were alone in the universe. Now they knew they were not. But instead of peaceful first contact, they were. Being asked to go to war, the signal from the Zephyrians continued to repeat, growing weaker with each transmission. Time was running out for an entire world. The question now was whether humanity would answer the call. 3 days later, the response came back from Earth Command. Admiral Stone's message was short and clear. "Prepare for the largest military operation in human history. We are going to war." Captain Harrison looked out at the stars again. Soon Earth's fleet would travel farther than humans had ever gone before. They would face an enemy they did not understand to save people they had never met. It was exactly the kind of impossible mission that humans had always been best at. The Zephyrians had called Earth for help. Earth was about to answer with everything they had. Admiral Patricia Stone stood in the command center at Earth Defense Headquarters, watching ships arrive from every corner of human space. Through the massive windows, she could see hundreds of vessels moving into formation around the orbital stations. Battleships, destroyers, carriers, and support craft filled the space around Earth like a metal constellation. 6 months had passed since the Zephyrian distress call reached humanity. 6 months of the fastest military buildup in human history. Every nation on Earth had contributed ships and crew members. This was not about countries anymore. This was about the human race proving itself to the galaxy. Captain Kevin Brooks walked up beside the Admiral, holding a data pad with the latest numbers. His weathered face showed the stress of organizing such a massive operation. "Final count is 200 ships, Admiral," he said. 50,000 Marines are ready for deployment. General Robert Hayes says his troops are as prepared as they can be for fighting an unknown enemy. Admiral Stone nodded. She had chosen Captain Brooks to command the heavy cruiser USS Defiance because he was steady under pressure. They would need that steadiness in the battles ahead. "What about supplies?" she asked. "Captain Maria Santos has the logistics handled," Brooks replied. "The USS Resilience and her supply ships carry enough food, ammunition, and spare parts for a 5-year mission. We are planning for the worst-case scenario." The Admiral smiled grimly. Captain Santos was one of the youngest ship commanders in the fleet, but she had proven herself brilliant at managing complex operations. If anyone could keep a fleet supplied across 50 light-years of empty space, it was her. Dr. Amanda Clark entered the command center, carrying her own stack of reports. She had spent the last 6 months working with teams of scientists and linguists, preparing for humanity's first face-to-face meeting with aliens. "How are the translation programs coming along?" Admiral Stone asked her. "We have made good progress," Dr. Clark replied. "The Zephyrians sent us more detailed language samples after we responded to their distress call. My team has built a basic communication system. It will not be perfect, but we should be able to talk to them when we arrive. If we arrive in time?" The Admiral thought, but did not say. The journey to Kepler 442 would take 3 years, even using humanity's fastest ships. There was no guarantee the Zephyrians would still be alive when the fleet got there. Lieutenant Commander Jake Morrison appeared in the doorway, his face tense with worry. "Admiral, we have a problem," he said. "Long-range sensors are picking up something following our scout ships. Unknown vessels, definitely not human." "Show me." They moved to the main display screen, where Morrison brought up sensor data from the outer system. Small blips of light moved across the star map, following the paths of human patrol ships. "How many?" the admiral asked. "At least 6 contacts," Morrison replied. "They stay just outside our weapons range, but they are definitely watching us. The ships are unlike anything in our databases." Captain Brooks studied the display with experienced eyes. "They are learning our capabilities, studying our technology and tactics." Dr. Clark looked worried. "If these are the Devourers, they might try to stop us before we reach the Zephyrians." Admiral Stone made a quick decision. "Double the patrols around the fleet. I want every ship on high alert. And send a message to Colonel Sarah Williams. Tell her to begin combat training immediately." Colonel Williams ran the most intensive military training program in human space. Her job was to prepare Marines for fighting in conditions they had never experienced before. She had studied every piece of information about the Devourers that the Zephyrians had sent, looking for weaknesses. 2 weeks later, the human fleet began its journey to Kepler 442. Admiral Stone stood on the bridge of the USS Liberty, watching Earth grow smaller behind them. It was the largest group of human ships that had ever traveled together, and they were heading into the unknown. "All ships report ready for jump to hyperspace," Captain Brooks announced from his position at the communications station.
"Take us
"Out," Admiral Stone ordered. The stars stretched into lines of light as the fleet entered hyperspace. Behind them, Earth disappeared. Ahead lay 3 years of travel through empty space, followed by a war against an enemy they barely understood. During the first month of travel, the mysterious ships continued to follow them. The contacts appeared on sensors every few days, always keeping their distance, always watching. The crew began calling them shadows because they seemed to fade in and out of detection. Colonel Williams set up training exercises throughout the fleet. She taught them to be unpredictable, to make decisions that seemed crazy but served a larger purpose. "Devourers are machines," she told her troops during one training session. "They think logically. Sometimes we do things that make no sense. That will be our advantage." Lieutenant Danny Rodriguez was one of Colonel Williams's best students. He had grown up in the slums of New Angeles, where survival meant thinking fast and fighting dirty. Those skills translated well to preparing for alien warfare. "The way I see it," Rodriguez told his squad mates, "these Devourer things are like really smart computers. But computers can only do what they are programmed to do. Humans can do anything." The months passed. The shadow ships became bolder. They attacked small groups of human vessels with hit-and-run tactics, trying to capture technology and study human responses. But the attacks were too predictable. The Devourers used perfect formations and logical strategies that human commanders learned to counter. Captain Santos proved especially good at confusing the enemy. She would send her fighters in seemingly random patterns that made no tactical sense. When the Devourers tried to predict where the humans would attack next, they guessed wrong every time. Dr. Clark spent her time studying the enemy ships that were destroyed in these small battles, discovered that the Devourers were indeed machine intelligences, but they had once been living beings like humans. Something had happened to them long ago that made them give up their emotions and creativity in exchange for pure logic. They uploaded their minds into computers, she explained to Admiral Stone during one of their weekly meetings. They became immortal, but they lost the ability to think outside of programmed responses. That is why they cannot understand human tactics. The journey continued. 3 years of travel, training, and small battles with the shadows. The human fleet grew stronger and more confident with each encounter. They learned to fight as a team, combining the strengths of different cultures and backgrounds. General Hayes worked with military leaders from every nation on Earth. American aggression, Russian endurance, Japanese precision, and African adaptability all became part of the human fighting style. The diversity that had once caused conflicts on Earth now became their greatest weapon as they neared the end of their journey. Admiral Stone gathered her senior officers for a final briefing. "In 2 weeks, we will arrive at Kepler 442, she told them. "We do not know what we will find there. The Zephyrians may be gone, the planet may be destroyed. But we came this far to help them, and we will not turn back now." Captain Brooks looked at the star charts on the screen. What are our orders when we arrive, Admiral? Admiral Stone stood up and looked at each of her officers. These people had become her family during the long journey. Soon they would all face the greatest battle in human history. We save the Zephyrians, she said simply. At whatever it takes. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. And Admiral Stone felt her heart sink. Through the bridge windows of the USS Liberty, she could see the Zephyrian homeworld burning. Massive dark ships, each one, the size of a city, hung in orbit around the planet like hungry vultures. Streams of light connected the ships to the surface, where they were tearing apart the continents piece by piece. My God, whispered Captain Brooks from his position at the sensor station. We are too late. But Admiral Stone was not ready to give up. She had brought humanity's entire fleet across 50 light-years of space. They had trained for 3 years to fight this battle. She would not turn around now. Commander Martinez, try to contact any survivors on the planet, she ordered. Clark, get your translation systems online. Captain Santos, prepare the fighters for immediate launch. Lisa Martinez worked frantically at her communications equipment, sending signals toward the dying world below. For long minutes, there was nothing but static. Then, faintly, a voice came through the speakers. It was high and musical, nothing like any human voice, but the translation computer turned it into words they could understand. Human ships. This is Kethvar of the Zephyrian Emergency Council. We are in underground shelters beneath the crystal city of Velterra. Most of our people are gone, but some still live. Please, if you can hear this, we need help immediately. Dr. Clark leaned forward, speaking into her microphone. Kethvar, this is Dr. Amanda Clark of the Earth Fleet. We received your distress call. We are here to help. How many of your people are still alive? There was a pause. Then the alien voice returned, filled with what sounded like tears. Perhaps 50,000 remain. The Devourers have been harvesting our world for 2 years. They take everything. Our cities, our forests, even the metals from our mountains. We have been hiding, but our food is running out. Admiral Stone took the microphone from Dr. Clark. Kethvar. This is Admiral Patricia Stone of the Earth Defense Force. We brought 200 ships and 50,000 soldiers. We are going to drive the Devourers away from your world. The silence that followed was so long that Stone thought the connection had been lost. Then Kethvar spoke again, his voice filled with amazement. You actually came. After all this time, you actually came to help us. Admiral Stone looked at the massive enemy ships surrounding the planet. Each Devourer vessel was larger than anything humanity had ever built. Their black metal surfaces absorbed light, making them look like holes in space. Smaller ships moved between them like schools of deadly fish. Captain Brooks, what are we looking at? She asked. Brooks studied his sensors carefully. 12 capital ships, approximately 2 kilometers long each. At least 100 smaller vessels, probably fighters or escorts. They are arranged in perfect geometric patterns around the planet. Colonel Williams joined them on the bridge, her armor already sealed for combat. Admiral, my Marines are ready to deploy. But we need to get past those ships first. Admiral Stone turned to Captain Santos, who was coordinating the fighter squadrons. Maria, can your pilots break through their formations? Captain Santos smiled grimly. Admiral, my pilots have been practicing irregular attack patterns for 3 years. Those machines have never fought anything like us. The battle began when the Devourers detected the human fleet. The enemy ships moved with perfect coordination, forming attack formations that would have destroyed any logical opponent. But Captain Santos had taught her pilots to be anything but logical. Fighter squadrons from the USS Resilience launched in patterns that looked completely random. Some flew straight at the enemy, others looped in wide circles, and still others seemed to retreat before suddenly attacking from unexpected angles. The Devourer ships tried to calculate where the humans would strike next, but their computers could not predict chaos. Lieutenant Commander Rodriguez led Red Squadron in a diving attack that should have been suicide. Instead of following standard fighter tactics, he ordered his pilots to fly like they were playing a video game. They rolled and spun and made moves that served no purpose except to confuse the enemy. This is Red Leader Rodriguez called over the radio as his fighters danced between enemy laser beams. These tin cans cannot keep up with us. They are trying to solve us like a math problem, but we are not math. Admiral Stone watched the battle from the Bridge of the Liberty. The human fighters were badly outnumbered, but they were winning through pure unpredictability. Every time the Devourers tried to counter human tactics, the humans changed their approach completely. "Captain Brooks, take us in," she ordered. "Target the nearest capital ship." USS Defiance led the human fleet toward the enemy formation. Captain Brooks used a strategy that Colonel Williams had developed during their training. Instead of attacking the strongest enemy ship, they went after one that seemed less important. It was a move that made no tactical sense, which was exactly why it worked. The Devourer ship tried to defend itself, but its weapons were designed to fight logical enemies. When the human ships scattered in all directions and then regrouped in impossible formations, the machine intelligence could not adapt fast enough. Dr. Clark monitored the enemy communications during the battle. "Admiral, their ships are trying to coordinate with each other, but they cannot understand what we are doing. Listen to this." She played a recording of machine voices speaking in mathematical code. Even through the translation, it was clear the Devourers were confused and frustrated. Target priorities uncertain. Human tactics do not follow optimal patterns. Request new programming parameters? But there was no response from the other ships. Each Devourer vessel was trying to solve the human puzzle on its own, and none of them could do it. The turning point came when Captain Santos noticed something important. "Admiral, the enemy ships are not just harvesting the planet. They are sending all the raw materials to that big ship in the center of their formation. I think that is their command vessel." Admiral Stone studied the massive ship that hung above the planet's North Pole. It was larger than the others, with strange antenna arrays covering its surface. "If we take out their command ship, will the others stop fighting?" she asked Dr. Clark. "The Zephyrian said the Devourers act like a hive mind," Dr. Clark replied. "Without central coordination, they might become helpless." Admiral Stone made her decision. "All ships, new target. We are going after their leader." The assault on the command ship was the most dangerous part of the battle. The massive vessel was protected by layers of smaller ships and defensive systems. But the humans had learned something important during the fight. The Devourers could not handle multiple threats that did not make sense, Captain. Brooks led a group of battleships in a direct frontal assault, while Captain Santos sent her fighters in wide circles around the enemy formation. At the same time, Colonel Williams launched assault shuttles filled with Marines toward the planet's surface, as if she was abandoning the space battle entirely. The Devourer command ship tried to respond to all three threats at once, but its logical programming could not prioritize targets that seemed equally irrational. While it was calculating the best response, the human fleet struck from a fourth direction that no one had expected. The USS Liberty and a squadron of destroyers came up from below the planetary plane, where no logical commander would position an attack force. They hit the command ship's weak underside before the Devourers could react. The explosion lit up the entire star system. The command ship broke apart in a chain reaction that sent debris flying in all directions. One by one, the other Devourer vessels stopped moving, their coordinated intelligence severed. On the planet below, Kethfar watched through the crystal windows of his underground shelter as the dark ships went silent. For the first time in 2 years, the streams of light that had been tearing apart his world flickered and died. "Dr. Clark," his voice came through the radio, filled with wonder and gratitude. "The humans have done the impossible. They have defeated the Devourers." Admiral Stone looked out at the disabled enemy fleet, then down at the scarred but living planet below. Humanity had traveled farther than ever before to fight an enemy they barely understood. They had won through courage, creativity, and the simple refusal to give up. "Kethfar," she said into the radio, "This is Admiral Stone. We are coming down to meet you. It is time for our two peoples to become friends." The first human shuttle touched down on Zephyrian soil 3 hours after the last Devourer ship went silent. Admiral Stone stepped out onto the crystal platform, followed by Dr. Clark and a small team of Marines. The air was thin but breathable, and the gravity was lighter than Earth's around them. The ruins of a once great city stretched to the horizon. Kethvar emerged from an underground entrance, moving slowly in the bright sunlight. He was taller than any human, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes that seemed to hold the weight of his dying world. Behind him came a small group of other Zephyrians, the last survivors of their civilization. Admiral Stone Kethvar said through Dr. Clark's translation device. His voice was soft and musical. "I have dreamed of this moment for 2 years, but I never truly believed it would happen. You came so far to help people you had never met, Admiral." Stone stepped forward and extended her hand. After a moment's confusion, Kethvar reached out and touched her fingers with his own. It was the first handshake between humans and aliens in history. "We received your call for help," Admiral Stone said simply. "Humans do not abandon their friends." Kethvar's large eyes filled with tears. "Friends. Yes, we are friends now. Come, let me show you what the Devourers have done to our world. Then, perhaps you will understand what you have saved us from." They walked through the crystal city of Velterra, or what remained of it. The buildings had once been works of art, growing from the ground like living jewels. Now most lay in ruins, there. Crystal walls shattered and their light cores dead. The Devourers had stripped away everything of value, leaving only broken beauty. Behind, Dr. Clark worked with her team to establish better communication with the survivors. The Zephyrians were eager to share their language, and within hours the translation systems were working much better. As understanding grew, so did the friendship between the two species. "Your people are warriors," Kethvar told Admiral Stone as they sat in the underground shelter that had protected the survivors. "But you fight for others, not just for yourselves. This is something we have never seen before," Colonel Williams and her Marines worked with Zephyrian engineers to clear the debris from the city and search for more survivors. They found small groups hiding in deep caves and underground facilities. Each rescue brought tears of joy and amazement that the humans had actually come. General Hayes established a command post in the ruins of the Zephyrian Capitol building. His troops worked alongside the aliens to repair essential systems and restore basic services. The cultural exchange was remarkable. Human soldiers shared their food with hungry aliens, while Zephyrians showed the humans how to repair their crystal technology. Captain Santos brought the USS Resilience into low orbit and began sending down supply shuttles. The Zephyrians had been living on emergency rations for months, and many were weak from malnutrition. Human medical teams worked around the clock to help them recover, but the most important work was being done by Dr. Clark and the Zephyrian scientists. In the deep archives beneath the city, they found intact data cores that contained the advanced knowledge Zephyrians had promised in their original distress call. "Admiral, you need to see this," Dr. Clark called excitedly from the archive chamber. She was standing next to a tall Zephyrian named Velketh, who served as their chief scientist. Admiral Stone joined them in front of a holographic display that showed complex medical data. "What am I looking at?" she asked. "Regenerative medicine," Velketh explained through the translator. "Our people learned long ago how to repair damaged cells and extend life far beyond its natural limits. We can share this knowledge with humans as payment for saving our world." Dr. Clark was practically vibrating with excitement. "Admiral, this technology could extend human lifespan by hundreds of years, could eliminate most diseases and heal injuries that would otherwise be permanent." But Admiral Stone was thinking about more than just medicine. "Velketh, do you know of other worlds that might be threatened by the Devourers? Are there other species that need help?" The Zephyrian scientist consulted his databanks, his expression growing serious. "Yes, Admiral. Before our communications were destroyed, we received distress calls from at least 12 other worlds. The Devourers are not gone. We have only defeated one of their fleets." That evening, Admiral Stone called a meeting of her senior officers aboard the USS Liberty. The ship hung in orbit above the healing world, its lights reflecting off the crystal cities below. "We have a decision to make," she told them. "The Zephyrians want to form a permanent alliance with Earth. They are offering us medical technology that could revolutionize human life. But they are also asking us to help defend other worlds against the Devourers. Captain Brooks leaned forward in his chair. How many ships do we have left that are battle-ready? 168, Captain Santos replied. We lost 32 ships in the battle, but the rest are in good condition. We have Zephyrian technical assistance. We could probably build more. General Hayes spoke up from his position at the table. My troops are ready to keep fighting, Admiral. What we did here proves that humans can make a difference in this galaxy. These devourer machines are not invincible. Dr. Clark pulled up a star map showing the locations of the threatened worlds. Some of these civilizations have been sending distress calls for years. They are all peaceful species, just like the Zephyrians. Without help, they will all be destroyed. Admiral Stone studied the map, thinking about the choice before them. Earth was safe, 50 light-years away from this conflict. They could take the medical technology and go home, leaving the galaxy to its fate. But that was not the human way. Kethvar, what do your people want to do? She asked the Zephyrian leader who had joined the meeting via video link from the planet below. Admiral Stone, my people were warriors once. Long ago, Kethvar replied. We gave up fighting because we thought it was the path to peace. But we learned that sometimes peace must be defended. We want to rebuild our ships and fight beside you against the Devourers. Colonel Williams smiled at that. Zephyrian crystal technology, combined with human weapons and tactics. The Devourers will not know what hit them. Admiral Stone made her decision. We are going to form the Galactic Defense Initiative. Any peaceful species that wants protection from the Devourers can join us. We will teach them to fight, and they will share their knowledge with us. 6 months later, the combined human-Zephyrian fleet received its first new distress call. It came from a world called Theta 7, where a species of plant-like beings was under attack by a fresh Devourer invasion force. Captain Harrison, who had been promoted to command his own battle group, stood on the bridge of his new ship as they prepared to jump to hyperspace. The fleet now included 20 rebuilt Zephyrian vessels, their crystal hulls gleaming alongside human steel. All ships report ready for jump. His communications officer announced. Captain Harrison looked out at the stars, thinking about how much had changed since that first night when Lisa Martinez detected an alien signal. Humanity was no longer alone in the universe. They had friends among the stars, and enemies too. But most importantly, they had found their purpose. Take us out, he ordered. Time to save another world. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, carrying hope to another dying civilization. Behind them, the Zephyrian homeworld continued to heal, its crystal cities slowly growing back toward the sky. In the deep archives, human and alien scientists worked together, sharing knowledge that would benefit both species for generations to come. The galaxy was a dangerous place, full of threats like the Devourers, but it was also full of friends, waiting to be made and wonders waiting to be discovered. Humanity had answered one call for help and discovered their destiny among the stars. Now the real adventure could begin.